Welcome back. I'm happy to welcome Jhillika Kumar, founder and CEO at Mentra, neurodivergent employment network that intelligently matches neurodiverse individuals with inclusive career opportunities. Jhillika, welcome to the Global Inclusion Online Forum.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here. Thank you.
Pleasure having you. So yesterday we had a panel discussion on neurodiversity, and in fact it has been the focus of this forum when it comes to disability inclusion. So we can wait for you to start the presentation about realizing neuroexceptional potential and why neurodiversity should be a D&I priority. But before you start, I want to remind our attendees again, please be active in the chat, post your questions, and best question will get a free VIP ticket to 2023 annual event. So happy to pass the floor to you, Jhillika, and I will be back after your presentation to help you handle the questions.
Thank you. Yes, so today's talk is going to be about realizing neuroexceptional potential and why neurodiversity should be a D&I priority. A quick intro about who I am, CEO and founder of Mentra, and we are working to empower neurodivergents across the country to find meaningful and fulfilling careers. So a quick fact about the numbers. 1 in every 7 people have some form of neurodiversity. That is 1 billion people worldwide, and that includes a wide range of conditions from autism to ADHD to dyslexia to epilepsy. And neurodiversity really refers to one whose neurological development is atypical or viewed as is the opposite of the term neurotypical. And so that's really what this talk about. And a lot of the greatest innovators of our day are neurodivergent, including Greta Thunberg, including Albert Einstein, Alan Turing, and a lot of these really, really highly intelligent people exist today in our world, and many of them are being underutilized. And the reason I say that is because the most recent studies show that 30% neurodivergents are 30% more productive at work, 78% more loyal, yet there is a staggering 80% under an unemployment rate in this community. So a large percentage of the population is oftentimes overlooked, and that's due to the systemic barriers that exist in the hiring process. We've done over 2 years of research and identified several invisible barriers at every stage that we're looking to really use technology, accessibility, as well as human interaction and support and empathy to really bridge those barriers and make the workforce more inclusive for this community. So the core, essence of this talk is what exactly are companies missing out on, and why should it be a D&I priority for your organization? Well, I want to start by talking a bit about what are those neurodivergent strengths, something that we call neurodivergent advantages, and how can those map to more efficient, productive, and effective teams? So to answer that question, I'm going to share this list with you on the screen, and you can see here there's a vast array of neurodivergent strengths that exist that, from storytelling to reading and comprehension, to visual reasoning, to problem solving and creativity, to interpersonal skills, to information absorption, to methodical approaches and execution. And I will say that, there's this quote that if you meet an autistic person, you've met one person. And that really applies to the range of fields that we are working with. It's not just that everyone has a certain trait that, makes an individual best for tech. It's across all industries, we're seeing neurodivergence really excel because of this varying range of skills that neurodivergents bring: acceptance and inclusion, observational skills, reliability, precision and detail, listening and empathy. It's so important to have those skills in the workforce of the future. Now, why are companies recruiting? So ADHD, for example, is something that I named earlier as one of those sort of, core components of neurodiversity. And what ADHD refers to is neurological, neurodevelopmental impairment of the brain's self-management system, lack of dopamine, marked by difficulty with regulating attention, transitioning, hyperactivity, impulsivity, and executive functioning. And as we see, there's another staggering stat here, which is that ADHD results in a reduction of employment chances from 10 to 14% with a 33% pay gap. So that, really is, huge barrier for this community. Yet people with ADHD have significant advantages in creativity and prefer generating new solutions and ideas. And so that links to accelerated thought, creativity, the ability to hyper-focus, charm, and humor. And many times in your organization, your employees with ADHD might be highly resilient, inventive, energetic, helpful, generous, and willing to try novel approaches. Now, the same goes, we're seeing similar unemployment rates in the autism, the community of individuals who are autistic. And what that refers to is a developmental disability that is caused by differences in how the brain functions. People with autism may communicate, interact, behave, and learn in different ways. So as we see on this page, we're seeing that unemployment and underemployment is from 80 to 90% of this community. Yet, staggering statistic, and this is incredible to see here, people on the autism spectrum solve problems 40% faster than neurotypical peers. And that's a statistic from the Harvard and University of Montreal study in 2014. And a lot of those benefits can be seen from several case studies that I'll share with you here today. Just a high-level overview, some of those benefits include accelerated problem solving, innovative approaches, specialist knowledge, detail orientation. And at Mentra, we're actually working on a study to identify what those neurodivergent neuroexceptional traits are and how we can use AI to really extract that information from an individual and then match them accordingly with the jobs of the future. So really excited that that's a large part of the research that we're working on. Now, JP Morgan reported that after 3 to 6 months, autistic workers were doing the work of people who took 3 years to ramp up. And they were even 50% more productive. And JP Morgan is one of those companies that has pledged and committed to joining the Neurodiversity Roundtable, to hiring large headcount of neurodivergents into their workforce. So it's really exciting that they're seeing the benefits firsthand and they're tapping into this talent pool and they're benefiting from it significantly from the ability of the neuroexceptional traits of their teammates. Now, the second question that we're here to answer today is how can diversity of thought promote innovation, creativity, and unconventional problem solving? Well, we know that diverse companies innovate faster. That is, very well known fact. In a survey of employees at more than 1,700 companies in 8 countries, companies that reported above average diversity on their management teams also reported 19% innovation revenue, as well as 45% of more total revenue that they were able to gain. And this is launched in the past 3 years. So it's really exciting that diversity as a whole is becoming more and more essential topic within companies and within leadership conference tables. And so what we're trying to introduce is the neurodiversity movement as being a part of those conversations as well. So because neurodiverse people neurodivergents are wired differently from neurotypical people, they might bring entirely new perspectives to a company's efforts to recognize value. And I will say neurodiversity is also corely tied in with intersectionality. I mean, it really ranges across all forms of diversity. So there's a case study here that we would love to share. At HPE, a neurodiverse software testers observed that one client's projects always seem to go into crisis mode before launch. Intolerant of disorder, they strenuously questioned the company's apparent acceptance of chaos. This led the client company to realize that it had indeed become too tolerant of these crises, or sometimes we call them, fighting fires, and with the help of the testers to successfully redesign the launch process. And the same, so it significantly benefited the organization, not as many fire drills, employees were less stressed, employees were able to be productive, bring more of their full selves to work. So all around benefits there. And then at SAP, a neurodiverse customer support analyst spotted an opportunity to let customers help solve a common problem themselves, and thousands of them subsequently used the resources that he had created. So not only did it live in, when he was an employee there, lived past the duration of his time with the organization to trickle in and make other teammates' lives easier and more effective. Now, we'd love to share with you another case study from Ernst & Young, who hired 4 neurodivergents to work at their Neurodiversity Center of Excellence. And after 9 months, Ernst & Young compared the work quality, efficiency, and productivity generated by the neurodivergent and neurotypical account support professionals. And quality, efficiency, and productivity were comparable, but the neurodivergent employees really excelled at innovation. In fact, in the first month, they identified process improvements that cut the time for technical training by 50%. They learned how to automate processes far faster than the neurotypical account. And that was used in the resulting downtime was used to create training videos and help professionals learn automation more quickly. So really amazing results being demonstrated across the wide array of neurodiversity and across a range of industries as well. And it's really only just the beginning, which is so exciting. So the third question here today that we're excited to dive into is, why are retention rates higher for neurodivergent employees, and how can businesses tap into that long-term career potential? So we know some of the largest US hiring programs as part of the Neurodiversity Roundtable, JP Morgan, Ernst & Young, SAP, and Microsoft. And all of these programs have retention rates of more than 90%, much higher than average retention rates in the industry. So not only does neurodiversity promote innovation, promotes diversity of thought, promotes more productivity, it also increases retention, which is known to be one of the most expensive factors that businesses have to account for when in their HR practices. So really saving a lot of effort, time, and money as well for HR teams. Now, we know that candidates and companies want this. In fact, we recently partnered with the Fortune 100 investment bank, and we conducted a pilot for them. So this was something that Mentra did last year. They were looking to hire 240 candidates. They were looking to hire 9 candidates. We were able to source 240 candidates, a whopping amount more than expected. And not only were all of the candidates hired, we actually increased our headcount because they were so happy with the shortlist that we provided. And 1 year later, we're seeing 100% retention rate. Those that were placed are extremely happy. And one case study that when we spoke with the individual a year in, who's on the autism spectrum, he shared that, I never imagined that all my life, I never imagined I would find a job, let alone a job at a huge investment bank working as an engineer to really help the company grow and thrive and to be valued as an employee. So really excited that this kind of work is actually making a tangible difference in people's lives. And, we really say at Mentra, it's not just about the individual, it's also the whole family and the whole community that impacts. If one neurodivergent gets a job, how that affects everyone who has, supported them and cheered and, rooted for them their whole lives. So it's exciting to make that kind of a difference. Now, in terms of the growth of hiring programs, as we spoke about, many of these companies, Ernst & Young, Microsoft, JP Morgan, they are increasing in their goal to hire more neurodivergents over the course of the last few years. So it started with few individuals being hired into very specific programs, whether that's software engineering or design programs or operations or even client-facing customer support roles. Over time now, companies are looking at how can neurodiversity expand to the entire workforce. So it's not dedicated to particular roles, it's something that an entire organization shifts towards. And that is what, a large part of what we call neurodiversifying the workforce of the future. Now, just to summarize from today's talk, we're seeing, neuroexceptional talent is leading to neuroexceptional results. And there are several forward-thinking companies that are thinking about how to tap into the hidden strengths of this community, especially after we've come out of a pandemic. We've learned that remote work is feasible. We're able to provide unique accommodations for folks who previously might have not had access to the workforce directly. And we're also seeing that this is just a time that's ripe for change and innovation in terms of how we recruit and how we hire. And we're seeing that neurodiversity is a huge, huge, huge untapped advantage that a lot of companies are beginning to tap into. So we're seeing 72% more productive, 19% higher revenue. These are neurodiverse companies, 4 times profit growth, 2 times net income. So really, that was from a Harvard Business Review study. So exciting to see again that there's a lot of innovation happening, and those numbers are increasing. Now, just to summarize who we are and what we do, we are Mentra. We are looking to neurodiversify the workforce of the future. That is our goal. That's our mission. Companies interested in starting neurodiversity hiring programs or continuing them can leverage the Mentra platform to tap into this centralized ecosystem that we have on our service. And we're able to match neurodivergents with meaningful employment. If you are interested in learning more, you can go to mentra.me. And later today, I think at 2 p.m., we have a demo of the Mentra platform at our booth for you to understand how the service works, how it's extremely streamlined, and how you're going to be able to hire directly from the neurodivergent talent pool with confidence. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jhillika, for your very interesting presentation. First of all, I have a comment from Mario Chatsif saying, thank you, Ms. Kumar, for representing us all. As a neurodivergent CEO, I can only say it was about time we were DEI included. So kudos to you. So my first question to you is about the types of categories of neurodiversity hiring that your platform provides. You were talking about autistic people, and you were talking about ADHD people in your presentation. Does your platform include any other forms of neurodiversity to be hired?
Absolutely. Yes, we really account for any variation in the neurocognitive, the brain. And so our goal is not just to, offer it to individuals who need high levels of support. We actually, in our onboarding, understand how much support the individual needs, and we're able to cater the service directed towards that individual. So it's really all forms of neurodiversity that we mentioned earlier, including epilepsy, including, Down syndrome, cerebral palsy, really a wide range. And we're here to serve that community in a way that scales. And again, with regards to support, which is always sort of what distinguishes, someone from requiring additional accommodations, we're able to support even communities who are non-speaking by providing alternative methods to sign up and providing one-on-one support. So it's really a wide range. And for the purposes of this talk, I just focused on ADHD and autism, although if I had more time, I would definitely love to go into the rest and share more statistics there as well.
You do have more time because there are still like 10 minutes in our session. So please go on if you want to share more stats. I think all our viewers would benefit from that.
Absolutely, 100%. And I can share. So we actually have an article coming out about this in the next week. So we're conducting a study right now looking at those different forms of neurodiversity and how that maps to neurocognitive advantages. So I'll take us back to what we shared earlier as well, just in terms of the range. So here we have so here we have autism, ADHD, dyslexia, dyscalculia, dysgraphia, OCD, Tourette's syndrome, Parkinson's, TBI, epilepsy, synesthesia, so many others. And the best part about, huge part about our platform too, is we don't require diagnosis. So individuals can share and we're able to match them and meet their support needs. And then we're also able to understand that. Now, when we talk about what those strengths are, so these strengths that I mentioned here are for the neurodivergent population as a whole. And this was gathered from, lots of different articles that have come out, lots of studies. In fact, there is an Australian researcher we're working with today who surveyed 150 autistic women in the community to understand what those neurocognitive strengths are. So it's really a wide range, and we're still continuing to discover these strengths and these neuroexceptional qualities. And so a large part of the next step is how can we map these to job success in different types of industries, different types of occupations, and even the occupations of the future, because jobs are emerging every day. And if we can be on top of, what is the future of work evolving towards, and how can we match those strengths to those jobs, even if someone does not know that the job exists, that's a large focus for the team as well. And that's really where the AI model comes in to be able to predict success based on non-traditional aptitudes. For example, someone might not have had a college degree or high school education. We're still able to understand their strengths by looking at those non-traditional factors and mapping that back to job success.
Thank you. Next question comes from Charlie Fogel. He says this presentation, they say this presentation is great. I'm excited to learn more about Mentra. So in this case, you're welcome to visit Mentra's booth in our exhibition area. And the question is regarding high levels of retention of neurodiverse employees. Have you looked into the reasons why this rate is much higher? And is it serving individual as well as the company?
Absolutely. 100% yes. So the reason, a large part of, we're seeing that 30% more retention, 78% more loyal as well at a company. And we're seeing that when someone is accommodated, they're able to sort of really bring their full selves to work. And that leads to really good team morale. There's a boost in understanding of, how the individual works within a team setting. We're able to build empathy in a community. And then, however, if the person is not accommodated for, that's where we see that drop-off rate in terms of, turnover. And that's why it's not, while our focus is not just to bring people into a job, it's also to keep them there. And we're seeing that, the reasons why that retention rate is because folks are able to be accepted, bring their authentic self to work. Companies are being trained on neurodiversity. Managers are understanding, what does it mean to have a neurodiverse teammate? How can I best, accommodate them? And also, how can I just work with them better? How can I, if they need, for example, time to decompress after meetings, how can I allow for that to be, to take place? If they prefer to have their ideas written down as opposed to verbalized in a meeting, how can I, not put them on the spot? How can I really change my way of managing a team to be more accepting of the various qualities of neurodivergence as well as support needs? So that understanding, I truly believe, is increasing retention over time. And and that's what's leading to successful teams. So really trying to maximize for that is our key goal as well. And so glad that you asked the question. Thank you so much. And definitely come to our booth.
Yeah, thanks to Charlie. So the next question, and probably the last question I can ask you in this session, comes from Lavina Mehta. Thanks for your presentation, opening up opportunities to neurodiversity community. Please share the roles most placed that has benefited the neurodiversity community, and what type of roles we should look at.
100%. That's a fantastic question. Right now, we're seeing, a lot of different jobs that are, while primarily they've been focused heavily in the tech industry, and that's mostly because of the resources being allocated towards hiring in tech. There's just really high demand for tech workers. It also expands to over 27 different industries, as well as our platform accounts for over 233 occupations to date of the types of jobs that we're looking at. So that ranges from, design roles, graphic design to more customer-facing, customer-focused roles. We're even looking at digital notarization roles, things that used to require coming into person to be able to sign a document, is a really great process-oriented task for someone who is not able to come into an office. So remote work is also opening a lot of doors for individuals to do customer-facing, call center support roles, even when it comes to therapy, physical therapy, working with other neurodivergents, working on job coaching. That's another industry that we're actively recruiting for. So those are very sort of person-to-person focused, jobs out there, in addition to the STEM that we're actively looking to hire for. And that is not to mention that there's a huge plethora of roles in operations, right? Inventory fulfillment, working at managing teams, working on logistical analytics, how you can, bring teams together and maximize on operational efficiency. Those are, wide range of roles that we're seeing today. And as we work to bring employers onto the platform, we're making sure that it's representing the diversity of the jobs out there. That's really critical to making sure that we don't silo anyone into very specific industries. And we're also, accounting for the vast diversity in the spectrum of jobs that neurodivergents are interested in. So we're actively hoping to bring more of the arts, especially, theater, a lot of more person-focused roles as well onto the service, as well as those tech roles. Hopefully that answers your question, and thanks for it. It's a great question.
Thank you, Jhillika, for your presentation and your answers. For those of our attendees who are interested in learning more about Mentra's platform, you're welcome to visit their exhibition booth in our exhibition area. So thank you very much again. We look forward to seeing you around at our next events, and all the best in advancing neurodiversity in the corporate world.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.